build suspense.
How are you?
Good. We're back.
And Jenna, you have returned?
I'm alive, yeah.
It's good. It's been, I mean, as far as the listeners are concerned, it's probably been like 3 months.
Yeah.
Post-COVID, post Back to the 50s, post Pikes Peak.
It's just all, it's a
mental
post.
breakdown.
It's
Post.
There's a lot.
Post.
But anyway, welcome back.
Yeah. COVID wasn't terrible, but the repercussions of it, awful.
I believe it.
I cannot breathe anymore.
Oh,
I already
great.
couldn't breathe, so it's just even worse now.
I have one coworker down in our Rochester branch who, like, just has an inhaler now. That's just something he does daily. But he was also an anti-vaxxer, and he got one of the first strains, so...
Sounds like it's his problem.
I was
That
triple
would be,
yeah.
boosted. I
Himself.
only
Right.
got it because I was force-fed by a toddler.
Gross.
I
Disgusting.
have not had it. Still. I've said this many times, I have gone to very, very sketchy underground punk venues, and I feel like I've got the immune system of, like, a superhuman.
That won't stop you from getting it. It would just reduce your symptoms or
Yeah.
make you asymptomatic.
No, I haven't had any symptoms ever. I've been testing and everything.
You probably have had it and just didn't know.
Yeah, probably. Like, I don't know.
I feel like everyone's had some sort of, I didn't know I had COVID, but had it.
I don't
at this
actually
point.
believe that, but I think that's a funny circumstance that I was, like, have been more or less not affected by COVID. And I've also gone to, like, the world's grossest punk shows.
I mean, when I had Delta, the only reason I took the test when I got back home was because my temperature was like 1.5 degrees higher than it normally was. And that was of the era where I'm just like, well, I'm always checking this just to see, to try to catch it before, it
Yeah.
potentially harm
No,
somebody.
for me, it just came. I used to get, because, like, I have really bad allergies, especially to lilacs. Like, I'm deathly allergic to lilacs. It's fun. Not quite.
I will
deathly.
not get any of those in here.
No,
Yeah.
she basically, like, for the first, like, 2 months of spring, like, is just laying on the ground.
Yeah,
Just
it's awful.
dry heaving and
And so
dying.
when I was a kid, the allergies from lilacs used to trigger really bad sinus infections.
Oh, great.
So I thought I was just getting a really bad sinus infection from an allergic reaction to lilacs until the person I nanny for was like, I just tested positive for COVID.
We
and
went
I was
over.
like,
We went over to her house. I'm looking at her, and she's like on her couch, completely covered in sweat and like blue in the face, and looks like she's got one foot in the grave. I'm like, that kind of looks like COVID, but you haven't. But you've tested negative like 3 times, so
like she got tested
I don't know what
negative
this
out of
is.
hospital. It was what, and then she also had like
Right,
an eye
but
infection.
Doesn't
She
matter
was-
how good your test is if you're before the
No,
gestation period or
this
whatever.
is like when she was like that. Like
Oh,
in the middle
okay.
of her being like that, she tested negative twice, and it was the 3rd test when she
I
was
do
getting
wonder
better.
if like those tests were obviously made for like the first strain, and I know
Yeah.
they still work more or less on like Omicron, Delta, and that kind of stuff. But like
Yeah.
those have to be getting less accurate.
She
Yeah.
was also very sick with other, like she had 2 other illnesses at the same time. And the
She's just a cesspit of
it was
disease.
disgusting. She got sick from like 3 different kids at once.
Well, I'm glad you didn't die.
Yeah.
This
I
is
did.
why I hate working with kids. I never want to.
Yeah. Yep.
Because they just cough and give you COVID and just make everything bad.
Yeah, and you don't know what's coming either.
No.
It's like, okay,
horrible.
that immensely wet hand just somehow entered my mouth without my consent.
Why
Thank
is,
you.
why is this wet?
It's like a
That's-
wet cat paw. I
that's
I don't
my-
want to know.
Daily life, but I'm better. I'm better.
Yeah, she's post COVID, but she's dealing with.
Didn't lose my taste or smell,
Well, that's good.
so.
At least it didn't change to all earwax like my coworker.
You're drinking a.
I have a Pabst Blue Ribbon.
I've got a Pepsi. I refuse to drink beer until I've eaten, so I ate as right before we started.
I
so.
gotcha. I
Baja Blast.
on the go live notification, I put mentioned you in chat, and Scott came in. I'm like, did you fall for the mentioned in chat? He said yes, so it's working. Hello, viewer. I thought somebody
love
did that
that.
to me a couple weeks
That's
ago. I'm
brilliant.
like, what are you doing? Oh,
That's brilliant.
oh, okay. So I just had to throw it back on all the listeners. Anyway, before we get into the first topic, I briefly want to touch on our Patreon page, patreon.com/Carbitrage. On the super fine handcrafted site, you will find 2 open-ended levels of monetary support for content consumers like you to support content producers like us. Patreon.com/Carbitrage. Check it out. All right, Ryan, start us off with the recap of the world's largest, well, fourth largest recurring
Is it the fourth now?
annual car show. It usually is fourth, yep.
Yeah, it's in the top 5. But yeah, it was like 9,000 cars this year. Attendance was down, I think, mostly due to gas prices because they were insane. Whew. For my mental health, I had to fill up the Buick in 3 goes. Because I'm like...
I totally understand where you're coming from there.
It needs 91 non-oxy. Like, needs 91 non-oxy because I've, like, tried putting in 91 normal, and it does create, like, a vapor lock issue.
All right.
So it needs a non-oxy. That's...
Well, and it's a carbureted car, so it should have non-oxy, so it doesn't ruin the carb.
Well, it's the oxygenation is... that is just because gas boils. It's not a matter of the carburetor itself.
It will contaminate. It'll gum up the carburetor like crazy.
It's because it boils it.
No, it's because it's hygroscopic and water corrodes the parts of the carburetor.
So anyway, what I'm saying is the more immediate issue is that...
Sure, I'm not saying it doesn't also do that.
Down after 20 years of driving it, yeah. But 20 years from now, I hope that
it's the sitting, not the driving, right?
It's just being in there for a very extended period of time. But with, like, a nailhead, actually, this has happened to everybody that's tried to do non-oxy gas that runs a nailhead without, like, a very large carburetor spacer. When I say a large, has to be over an inch.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Thank
like,
goodness for the world of 3D printers.
Really large, because that's literally the amount of... Because it's a big, hot, huge engine.
Well, it's an iron manifold still, right?
Yeah, it's an iron manifold, and it's designed to be as smooth running and quiet as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, intake temperature or heat inside the engine bay was not even on the books of things that they were worried about. Right. As long as it doesn't overheat, that's all that matters. So this engine's like, they're hot. And so, yeah, when you run one of these, you're never even get to the point in which you run into, like, cavitation or anything with, like corroding parts, because you're not going to have it's not going to be in your car long enough, because you're not going to be able to, like, fucking use it. Because what happened to me was, I put in just, like, 91 just because I was trying to, like, troubleshoot a problem. I just needed to get it to go. Figure out the problem, done, cool, start driving it. And I drive it, and then, yeah, gasoline boils.
The ethanol boils at a much lower temperature.
Yeah, yep. And then when you have oxygenated gas, it's also got extra oxygen.
Oxygenated just means ethanol content.
Well, it's oxygen. No, that's different. No. That is different.
No.
Because oxygenate, we should look this up. But anyway, it boils it boils like way faster than
that's because
normal.
Of the ethanol content.
And so yeah, it'll just boil immediately. So
yep.
yeah, I'd use the unbelievably expensive gas.
I do love non-oxy, but yeah, it hurts. I mean, it's like $5.50 a gallon right now at the low end.
It's more expensive than that.
Maybe they jacked it up for the back to the 50s because they knew everyone needed it.
Yeah,
I genuinely think that they did.
Probably
because
did.
It was in my neighborhood. It was more expensive than it was in Jana's parents' neighborhood.
A Holiday by my house has it, and then there's a station right across here that has it too.
I literally live like within walking distance of back to the 50s.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, they're aware of that. And but yeah, no, it was a really good show. It was 9,000 cars instead of like the normal 14,000, and honestly,
did you go last year? I can't remember.
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
And honestly, the like 4,000 cars or so that didn't show up were mostly filler.
Like so the interesting stuff still showed.
Yeah, there's like a ton. Like that overhead valve or
Model
overhead,
A.
yeah, Model A thing that I just showed you. Like that was at the show.
That's pretty cool.
The Nazis' officer's car was there.
Ah.
There is a war trophy Mercedes that was stolen from a Nazi officer.
Not stolen. It was a trophy.
And it was actually there's an Auburn Bowtail Speedster, original one.
Wow. Was that? I assume that was brought here. It wasn't something that lives in Minnesota, or
no, it lives here.
Oh, that's
the dude.
Cool.
Like it's totally unrestored. The guy just drives it around. He loves it, and it's like it has like the original engine in it, and it's like the engine was like rebuilt in like the 80s at some point. But like
also
it's all like numbers matching and stuff. But there was some very rad stuff that I saw. The one that I think you would have been most interested in was it's raining.
I'm actually kind of okay with that.
Yeah, this is great. But the one you would have liked the most was a Ford Thunderbolt factory lightweight.
Thunderbolt.
Have you heard of the Thunderbolt?
No.
the 427 Ford Galaxy 500
Oh, that's kind of
that
cool.
they made as a factory AFX racer. Let me see if I can get a photo of it real quick.
I can bring one up too.
It has the coolest. It's the factory lightweights. They had.
Oh, is
they, yeah,
this that had the overhead cam 427 in it?
that was a. This one was not an overhead cam 427, but it was a 427 with a 4-speed and a limited slip diff, and it was made like that.
That is a cool car.
Yes, and then what's extra cool about it is the intake. If you can find a photo of the intake, is. God, where's my photo of the intake? I should have one. But the intake is one giant piece of cast aluminum that goes all the way to the headlights from the carburetor.
So it's not this extremely tiny photo here.
What extremely? I don't see an extremely tiny photo
Right
of
there.
anything. All right, so it's like that. That's the one that's on the not factory lightweight.
Okay.
The factory lightweight, it's literally a metal tube that goes all the way to the high beams,
Okay.
and it's just one giant piece of cast aluminum. And it's like embossed in it. It says 427, like 425 horsepower or something.
Huh.
It was very, very cool. And yeah, bumpers like FRP, they used a thinner gauge steel for the entire body. The frame is like they use like a thinner. I think they use a thinner steel on the frame after the body mounts. Like it's just a cool as hell car.
So it's like a CSL.
Yeah, well, like
All the ones I can find show these two big, like,
yeah. I'm trying to find my photo. I don't know where the hell I put it.
crinkly
Oh, here it is. I
arms.
found it. There it is.
And those are metal?
That's one piece of cast aluminum.
That has to be. Is that a factory part?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. Sorry, it's very blurry, but
It gets you. I
Yeah.
mean, it's better than the crinkly arms.
yeah, no, it's super duper rad. And yeah, since it's a thinner gauge of steel, like along the entire body, like super cool. You got these like tow bars for like
Yep.
for like towing it to the track. Yeah,
That's
very
neat.
very cool car. This guy, and also had a fuel cell instead of a gas tank. Because they didn't put in a fuel arm or
Like
anything.
a factory.
Fuel cell.
Huh.
Yeah,
That's impressive given the year of that thing.
yeah. You could just buy this at the dealership.
That's like, okay, that's cool. It's like even better than the Copos.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. So muscle cars do nothing for me, because it's the AFX dragsters that like I think are the coolest things that American cars ever made. So we ever think of like, I think it's a Dodge Dart AFX.
I would not expect performance and Dodge Dart to come into the same sentence, but
This one, yes, this is it.
Dart.
Yeah,
AFX.
just type in Dodge AFX, and you'll see what this is. These came from the factory with a shortened
I like this
wheelbase.
Oh God, what a ridiculous looking vehicle.
Yeah, but they shortened that wheelbase.
So it's like a 70s or 60s Dart, but yeah, there's
for better traction.
looks like they
That's
moved the
so
rear
cute.
axle up like a foot.
Yeah, they moved it ahead of the door, and so
You gotta be careful what you put in the trunk.
yeah, exactly.
Not
But-
for landscapers.
No.
Not at all.
So like things like the Dodge Demon, that was a whole thing right before muscle cars, where like all the big three were trying to outpace each other at the drag strip
Yeah.
with just factory cars, and they were like,
sure, we'll build that. That's fine.
yeah, like they made like muscle cars suck because muscle cars are like a tamed down version of these.
Okay.
Like these are what muscle cars want to be, and
These
so
are like straight up drag cars.
yeah,
I mean, they're like
that's
bracket
literally
cars.
all they're doing is there was it's for AFX is for factory unmodified street cars.
And I assume that AFX thing on the C-pillar, that's factory.
Yes.
So like it's just already classed from
Yes,
the factory.
pretty much. Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
It's really cool. So the engine out of the hood, that was not original, but
Oh.
like,
So it wasn't blown.
well, that's actually fuel injection. No, it is blown. Yeah. But no, they have. I think they're dual carb, like a dual carb, like max wedge or something.
Oh,
Which
those
also-
are cool. I really like
Yes.
those manifolds.
Max wedges are also like infinitely cooler than Hemis. So, yeah, like these are like the coolest American cars you could ever get, or like these AFX like factory dragster things from like the early '60s. And like the NHRA kind of like ended the class like in 1965, I think.
Perfect.
Yeah. And that's kind of when muscle cars became a thing.
Well, I was gonna say that's also the cutoff for Back to the 50s, isn't it? 64.
64, yeah, exactly. So on Mustangs. But yeah, so that
Nobody likes Mustangs.
yeah,
But
nobody likes Mustangs there. There was also a Arden head Ford Model B.
Oh my God! Look at that intake manifold.
Yeah, I know, right? It's pretty cool. So, the greatest wagon I've ever seen in my life, a '59 Buick Electra 225 wagon.
That's very slammed.
Yeah, I just love that front end. That bodywork's all original too. They've not modified, done any custom work. That's how it came from the factory, looking like that. Just like the cool angry eye headlights. And
Yeah, I
everything.
knew I had to poop headlights, but
Yeah, I had the poop headlights. It just looks cool as hell on it. So, but yeah. Oh, here's that Mercedes next to the Auburn. Yep. There's some good stuff, and it's really nice. I didn't have to walk through a sea of like.
well, 4,000 fewer cars, you could maybe see that in a long single day.
It was still a lot. You can't.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Like even driving around, you couldn't.
I mean, Ryan went with he got his 32 Chevy like done enough and ready to drive it down there with his dad, and his wife drove the 58 Chevy. So like,
right.
they were down there.
Yeah, I also discovered how much I really love stove bolt 6s with true dual exhaust.
Yeah, it's a very unique noise.
It's a cross between a motorboat and a Harley Davidson. That's the best way to describe it.
I was gonna say it sounds like a much like milkier 4-liter Jeep engine that's been like really, really, really opened up.
Yeah.
It's like it's just got like it's the same firing order as the Jeep 4-liter, the AMC 4-liter, but it just the flat head.
It's not flathead. It's
Oh,
an
you're right.
overhead
But the cross, it's not a cross flow, right? It's a reverse. Okay,
It's a reverse. Also, Jeeps are reverse slope.
that's true. Okay, so that makes sense. It sounds exactly like a really hopped up Jeep 4-liter to me.
Yeah, and that's also basically just like if Harley Davidson made a boat engine.
It was still
But made
too
it like
hot.
run correctly instead of all the Harley Davidson engines in the
Well,
world.
that's the thing. If it's got a true dual exhaust on it,
Yeah.
where you have 3 cylinders and 3 cylinders, and they go into 2 separate pipes.
Yeah.
That creates the Harley Davidson sound.
All right.
So it sounds like a Harley Davidson, but it's like not as like bro as one. It's
3, 2, no 1.
Yeah, it's basically it's very farty sounding. I really like it a lot, and I think
How hot was it the day you guys went? Or
It's
days?
like in the high 90s.
Friday was
Or
okay.
something.
Friday was okay. Saturday was okay, but very sunny. And then Sunday we just walked there and then left and just didn't stay for the whole show because it was just too gross outside.
I
And
think I tried to go Saturday, but the Vespa battery was shot, so I couldn't
yeah.
get it started.
So-
On Saturday, I brought the chitlins with. And,
Oh yeah, I saw the picture.
It was fun, but we walked past the Nazi officer's car, and I was like, okay, well, we're going to talk about this. And they're
This is how
like, we
you
know what
kids-
Nazis are. And I was like, good, all right.
this is how you learn about the Holocaust.
I would elaborate just to make sure you actually do know what Nazis are, but okay. I also don't want to talk about it right now.
Yeah.
Oh,
No,
also,
I also have had conversations with the youngest about that before because of what
How
she...
did that come up in casual conversation
We were
with
talking
children?
about school.
Okay.
Jewish boyfriend.
No. We were talking about what they were
Fiancé.
learning about in
Thank you,
school
sir.
and what they were reading, and she was reading a book associated with the Holocaust.
Okay.
so-
I'm glad they're still teaching that, frankly.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I can't even think of how many things in history have probably just been, like, left off. Because it's
Yeah.
like, well, it's not the TikTokian era.
Exactly.
We can't cover that. We don't have enough time.
I will also say that I've discovered that. So I've been like learning to appreciate early '60s like pre-GTO Pontiacs a lot more, and 98% of my reason why I've learned to appreciate them is because of the 1961 Bonneville and how freaking cool it looks.
Okay.
If you just want to throw one up on the screen real quick, it's a very underrated front end. I love the grille on it, and it's not like a boomer like boomers aren't like totally in love with this, but that grille does it for me.
Yeah, I'm glad it works for you.
I think it looks cool as hell because when you lower that, all right, so now
I
you see it
don't
factory.
super dig that.
That's what it looks like lowered.
I mean, great, but the grill's still the grill.
The grill's the part that does it.
I don't
for
like
me.
the thing that like it caves in at the top back. It's not awful. I don't hate it, but I like
I
the
do.
wheels. The wheels are cool.
Yeah, it's a. Oh, also that one that you pulled up is a wide 8-lug pattern.
Oh, really?
Yes,
Oh.
the wheel bolts directly to the brake drum.
Oh, so it's like a giant weird Volkswagen drum.
Yeah, but with 8
I don't know if I like that.
lugs. It's very strange, very cursed. But
Good luck putting discs on that.
you can't. But you don't really want to either. It's one of those things where they really kind of pushed like drum brakes in the early 60s to like their absolute limit, and those drum brakes would actually outbrake the disc brake equipped optional cars.
Sure, they probably just would heat soak much worse, right?
No, because that's why they did the wide 8, and it's all finned.
Okay.
And it uses the wheel to create kind of a fan, because the wheel doesn't sit entirely flush.
Sure.
So as the wheel turns and you're braking, we'll draw in cooler air, and then just from like convection, it'll kind of blow it out through the backside along the edge
Are they
the
directional
drum.
then? So like right side wheels have to.
No,
be on the right side?
they're just like straight turbine
Okay.
vanes. It's
I gotcha.
really interesting how they did that. Yeah, so I think like if I had more time, I'd write something like for the website so people can like, learn about. But like I highly recommend looking into like 1960s American drum brake. Like what they did to keep that rolling was just phenomenal.
It's
Like
Porsche 911-esque levels of it's fine.
yeah, you engineer around the problem. Like they're really engineering around this problem. Like between them and Mercedes making drums that are inboard because they're bigger than the wheel. Like it's just like
How do we get around this? I figured it out.
yeah, exactly. We really
We don't need this part of the back seat.
We don't want to use discs. Why not? Because we don't want to. Okay,
That
so we're gonna
requires
just
some
reinvent the wheel? Yes, literally. We are going to bolt the rim of the wheel to the drum and reinvent the entire wheel of the car.
Actually, I'm going to use engineering around a problem.
Yes.
As a segue from my story. If you
Yes,
don't
because I want to hear about what you did the weekend after us while we were at Pride.
No. Second story is.
No, I did Back to 50s / Pikes Peak recap.
Oh, sorry, I have that at the end of this episode.
Okay, never mind. We will talk about Pikes Peak.
Oh, good. We
later.
will talk about it in this episode, but a little bit later. So, engineering around an issue. As you might know, everyone is currently pretty peeved about Russia doing the things Russia does.
They're doing bad things.
And they,
yes.
and they still have a domestic auto manufacturing thing to an extent with Lada, but sanctions and we'll say trade embargoes and things
Yes.
like that. They have caused Lada to kind of cease production of their new models and
Yes.
bring back the 12-year-old Granta,
I saw that.
but not in its original guise because they also can't get airbags,
Yeah.
ABS components.
Yep.
Ta-da! So
Oh, that's
say
a
hell-
high trim level.
That's
It's
not
got
what it
the
actually
painted
looks
bumpers.
like. I'm sure they probably
Yeah.
can't even do that.
No, it doesn't have painted bumpers. It only comes in silver. It has no painted bumpers, and it has just steel, unpainted wheels, because they can't paint
And
the wheels.
now, no anti-lock brakes and no airbags
Yes.
because they can't get them.
It's extra bad.
Hello, 2022, 2010, Lada Granta.
Yeah.
Everyone in Russia, how about you go tell Putin to stop it?
Yeah.
So you can have your Changlin, or not Changlin Mecca, what's the UAZ Patriot?
Yes.
Yeah, so you
Well,
can have
actually,
good vehicles back.
So we were watching Stranger Things, and in Stranger
Me too.
Things, there's a UAZ 452 van.
Okay.
It's so cute.
Season
And
3 or 4?
Jana is 4.
Okay.
Jana is upset because she's like, you can't get those because of Putin. I'm like, nah, no, they're just on sale now. You can get them for free.
Well,
Yep.
All it costs is
War
a plane
trophy.
ticket. It just costs a plane ticket to Ukraine.
Yep.
what I said that, and as I was saying it, I was like, wait a second. No, they're easier to get now.
Yep.
We just got to go to Ukraine. And
We
not
gotta go to
Russia.
Ukraine, find the guy with the tractor
Yeah.
that stole the tank.
You need a tractor. Just
I suppose you could just hop in it.
they
But
do-
we
they
need
just
to-
they
we
kind of
need to-
leave them on the side of the road.
We
We
need
want to
the
get them the tax write-off.
Oh,
we,
yes,
we
that's
need
true.
the Russian lady that has that YouTube channel showing you
Yeah.
how to start all the
Yes,
stuff.
that lady is amazing. Exactly. That's what we
Yeah,
need.
we'll get the farmer and the TikToker, and we'll be set. And then I'll get my little crank start van,
Perfect.
and it'll be good.
I think it'd be
Why the hell did they use an UAZ van in Stranger? I'm just
You'll
starting
find
4,
out.
so
You'll
don't
find
spoil
out.
it.
I'm
Yeah.
not, it's
Yeah.
big spoilers. Actually, no. You know, if you're just starting 4, you know how
Don't-
Hopper.
No, there's gonna be
Hopper
spoilers.
No. 1 second. I can do this without spoilers. You know how Hopper ended up in the Soviet Union?
Mm-hmm.
That's why.
Ah. Oh, okay.
They have a scene that takes place in the Soviet Union. That's at a UAZ 452.
Okay. All right.
They're very cute.
All right.
They actually got the year right on the 452 as a small grill, and they
They're
released.
very
they
close
released
to detail
I feel like they
after the
do-
Volvo incident.
Yeah, I
the
bet.
reoccurring Volvo incident.
I know. The Volvo wagon.
I did see a.
Now they purposely place it in the background to make people mad.
There was a scene where they were working at where they shot like at the family video, and in the foreground, a Camaro drives by, but I noticed that the wheels on the Camaro were massive. They're like 17-inch wheels.
Yeah,
And
good luck finding tires that size.
Well, good luck finding a 17-inch wheel in 1986. Period.
That did exist, but
On
they
like
were...
a Ferrari?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You're not gonna find that on a
I don't
Camaro.
know, man. I mean,
But anyway.
it's not realistic.
No. But anyway, it had giant chrome wheels on it, and I noticed that, but I kept my mouth shut.
I do recommend this season.
It's really good.
It's good.
Oh, I'm starting it, yeah.
Yeah. Because
Yeah.
they just released the second half, so there wasn't
Oh,
really
4?
Yeah. So they
I
did the
think I got
first
the whole
half
thing.
earlier this year, and then this weekend they're dropping the second
Oh,
half.
I guess I don't have the second
No,
half yet.
You don't.
I'll
yet.
get it on the torrents as soon as it drops. Anyway, but the Granta,
Yes.
wow. I mean, I kind of wish the article showed the one you would actually buy, the one with steel
Yeah, because
wheels.
this one's too good.
Lada Granta
Base model. Type in base model.
base model.
Images.
Where
You'll see.
oh,
what-
there we go.
It's basically that.
That is the amount of pixels that exist in Russia, so this is perfect.
Ooh.
Bam. That's what
That's
you are
Probably
currently...
for your
If
viewing.
you need a new car in Russia right now,
That's literally how it looks. Yeah.
that's your baby.
Except you can only get it in silver.
That
And
is
those
it.
wheels are no longer painted.
2022 Trabant.
Yeah, pretty much.
Except way less
except-
interesting.
Let's say a Trabant at least won't rust immediately.
Why is that? Because it's made out of compressed cotton?
Cotton, yeah, it doesn't rust.
Amazing.
So speaking of new cars that
Mhm.
are doing well and don't have any issues or anything, the Ford Mach E, which is totally not a Mustang, it has
Correct.
a catastrophic issue.
Didn't they just do a recall last time we were on air with the 2.7
And
EcoBoost?
there's another one.
Oh, great.
It's
well,
Ford.
okay.
So they recalled 48,924 Mach E's.
That has to be the vast majority of them.
Yeah, it has to be all of them, because there is a possible overheating of the high voltage battery main contactors,
Oh no.
which will cause the vehicle to lose power while in motion or fail to start.
Hey, that sounds like the issue
Additionally-
on Scott's ID4.
Potentially light on fire.
Like
No.
it sounds less like the ID4 now.
But like other Mustang related Ford products from previous American malaises.
Strange.
I do have to say the Mach E does look pretty nice.
Yeah, it would have been. I would be all over if they called it a Galaxy E
Or just a Mach E.
Yeah.
or just anything other than a
Why'd
Mustang.
they slap the Mustang? If you put Mustang on anything, I'm gonna be like, no, thank you.
Imagine if the Lamborghini Anus is called the Lamborghini Countach Anus. That'd be bad.
sucks.
You would
That-
instantly hate it more.
I would hate it even more, and I already really hate those.
No, they'd be like, cool, you're making this bad and ruining a cool car.
It's like the exotic version of the Eclipse Cross.
Mm-hmm.
They redesigned the Eclipse Cross, actually, I discovered.
Did Kua buy an Eclipse Cross?
I don't know. But,
Do we have to be in that?
I think we do. I think he got rid of his Mirage.
I
And
know he
got
got rid
an
of-
Eclipse Cross.
I think he got an Outlander, actually, or something. But anyway, no, I'm pretty sure he got an EV Outlander.
If you
Will-
got
HEV.
okay, if you got a
I
Fev
think-
Outlander, that's
I
fine.
think I have Fev. But,
If not, we gotta beat him
we'll
up.
need to have words tonight. Maybe he'll be at Cars and Crafts.
yes. But the Eclipse Cross, they redesigned it. They got rid of the
The name?
no, the back thing.
I only cared about the name.
What's that piece of
Light bar?
the light bar thing? What's the German name for that? The
Heck blend?
Heck blend. They got rid of the Heck blend on it.
I mean, that's good, but it still has a really
it's
bad
not,
name.
because that was the only thing that was remotely interesting about that vehicle.
I
now
never
it's,
looked at one.
no, that's the thing.
It
It's
was
like
pretty neat.
if I had to look over an Eclipse Cross and find the only thing about the vehicle that was remotely palatable is the Heck blend.
Okay. Fine.
Everything else is bad in every way.
Yeah, but it was all bad.
It's all bad. Like, all of it's 100% bad, but they got rid of the one thing that was, like, the least bad.
I'm surprised your dad didn't buy one.
My dad? No. My parents don't buy Mitsubishis. We lived next to a Mitsubishi dealership when I was a kid. Like, where the Best Buy campus is now. That's where Bloomington Mitsubishi was originally. And I remember that they were looking at Hyundais, and there was, like, a sea of 3000 GTs that were brand new, like, up in the lift in the shop getting serviced for immediate issues that they're having because it's a Mitsubishi. So, they're not good. And even my parents noticed
Although
that.
the Mirage.
Also, the irony is that my parents are out here buying Hyundais and Kias in 1997
Oh
when
my.
they are literally just Mitsubishis that are rebranded.
You ever wonder why these dealerships are right here?
Yeah, that's why.
Same parts department.
Yeah, exactly. To be fair, is similar to the Mirage being palatable. I think net 90s Hyundais, the build quality, because they're a little bit cheaper, made them more easier to stomach than like.
Yeah, you knew exactly what you were getting into instead of having to like, oh, by the way.
Yeah, like if your swing away spare tire on your Kia Sportage rusts in the place a year and a half after you bought it.
Like, well, that makes sense. I
Which
paid
actually
$7,995 for this.
Which actually happened to my dad. If that happens,
Into
like
a Tiburon?
No,
to
the
my dad
Sportage.
had my dad had a manual 4-wheel drive first gen Sportage.
Okay.
Like my parents actually had the coolest Hyundai Kia products because they had a manual Tiburon and a manual Sportage.
First gen
Very
tip,
cool.
right?
Yeah, first gen of both.
Yeah.
So very cool cars. But the spare tire, swinging spare tire rusted into place, and they had to get replaced. That was a real thing.
Your
And like
dad's love
that's
with cars just
that's a
makes
little
me
bit
laugh.
more
He does it to
palatable.
himself.
Yeah, but that's more palatable
True.
on a Kia than it is
Oh,
on
yeah.
like.
Well, you expect it, to your point.
Yeah, and like if that happened on like an Endeavor,
Or
like,
a G-Wagon.
yeah, or I'm just thinking of like things that you can get in Mitsubishi.
Sure.
dealership.
Okay, yeah.
Like an Endeavor or something, you'd like lose your freaking mind. Like that'd be really extra bad. Like if you bought a brand new Montero and a year later just can't open the trunk and you can't get your milk and eggs out because the spare tire.
I mean, that probably happened to some Monteros. but-
Probably, but people were more pissed and never went back to
Yeah.
Mitsubishi. Whereas with like Kia, you're like, okay, I understand.
So what you're saying is all of the Mitsubishi products should have just been rolled into the Hyundai Kia brand in the early 90s?
Yeah, I think so.
It would have been
Well, like-
hilarious to have a Hyundai Evo.
So in our
That would have been real hot. I would have been into it.
neighborhood group,
Better cylinder
there's
head.
been in the last month and a half 5 different like Kias that are stolen, and they're like, this car was stolen. First off, they post a stock image of the car, which
Very
I'm
helpful. Very helpful.
like, drives me nuts. And then the vague description, and I'm like, no, I want to know where you hit the Starbucks drive-through,
Yeah,
so I can find your car.
but also,
But we keep telling them it's a Kia. I was like, literally, police departments will give you a free steering wheel lock if they know you have a Kia,
There's no
because they
steering wheel,
continue
yeah.
to be that bad, but you expect it from Kia. It's all the non-car folks that are like, I got a car, and it's like, that's
GMT 800s never had steering locks. Fiat 500s don't have steering locks. There's a bunch of cars that don't have steering locks.
Yeah, but Kias are just like notorious for just being able to just drive off in them.
But the thing is, they still have encrypted ignitions, so you still need a key to steal it.
no, you don't actually. The encryption and everything, it's all stored in the lock cylinder assembly. So you just bust, like an old GM where you just bust a column off.
Yeah.
Hey, you do that.
Great.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a separate computer.
Super good.
It's a separate computer because that way, if you need to replace your engine computer, you don't have to like reprogram the keys or anything.
I mean, that's cool, but
The way that they implemented that is poorly.
it's not ideal.
Also, the fact that the encryption device just draws power directly and then it's in line
Kias just make me giggle.
it's in series with the key. It's not parallel to it, so it's just like, what?
Like,
My
well,
s-
yeah, we have it. What's this part? I'm like, well, yeah, just don't worry about that.
It's like wired
my-
in
my
series. Like,
sister
An
what the
has-
hell?
alligator clip is like, well, that's done.
Yeah,
My
basically.
sister has a Kia, right? And she used to live over by us, but closer to the U of M.
Okay.
And whenever she would go out of town, I'd be like, please leave your Kia at the parents' house in their driveway. Because if you leave it at your apartment, it will not be there when you get back.
So they're just 90s Hondas.
They are.
No, they really get stolen that much.
Wow.
And just since it's not a 90s Honda, nobody talks about it loud.
Yeah.
But like, if you actually look at like cars that are stolen, like go on your neighborhood chat, it's usually Hyundais and
They're
Kias.
trying to.
That's so weird.
They're slowly overtaking the Accords.
That's
because
good.
there's
That's
no
good.
Accords left.
Yeah. They've moved on.
They've all been stolen so many times. They've just had to move on.
Yeah, and like
Which
people
is
just use them to like joyride, and like they don't use them to steal parts off them. So when you get
And
it
they're-
back, it's gonna crash into a tree.
Well,
Great.
and they're so generic too, and the people that own them are only posting, stock photos of
It's
the
a
car.
really fucking brilliant car
so
to
it's
steal.
easy for them
True.
to just blend in.
It's so easy to steal.
Yeah, who? Okay, what Hyundai Sonata 2012 used Hyundai Sonata owner has a photo of their car?
Nobody.
Boom.
Yeah.
Nobody.
I
They
always
probably don't
tell
even know the
people,
plate number.
Yeah,
Train.
I always tell people.
Train.
I always tell people
it's
that
going the
aren't
wrong
into
way.
cars to take.
Fucking chooching.
It's going very, very fast.
Okay, yeah, it was going the wrong way. Thank goodness.
Okay.
Phew. I haven't
But-
done a doot here yet.
Dude.
That would have been fun.
It's one of my favorite
tell
things.
all non-car people to have at least one photo of their car with their license plate, because how many times do you have to reference your license plate number if you're at a hotel or
It
whatnot?
should be in your parking app. I mean, if you
Yeah.
live in the cities, you should have it registered there.
I would just have I don't have the parking app because I don't pay for parking. But I got a parking ticket finally. It was in front of my house and it was for expired tabs.
I got one too for expired tabs, but my tabs are up to date. They just weren't on the vehicle.
That's baloney. Their computer knows that.
I know, and it's meter made. It's not somebody with a computer.
I know, but it's still a $113
I think
ticket.
I think it was an old people reporting it. Because I saw old people drive by and look at my tabs and see that they were new and then drive away. And I'm like, who are you? I bought these tabs, but my tabs expire in December when
That
it's
is the
too
worst.
snowy.
Oh.
And so I was like,
Yeah.
so I've had them in my car the entire time. I just,
Model S is January, and I don't put them on until April.
yeah.
They're
I was
in my
like,
car.
I just got
but-
busy and I haven't put them on yet. They're fine. I've never been pulled over. I've had cops parked behind me. The
Yep.
cops don't care.
Because
and
the
I get this
computer reads
ticket.
it automatically and it says you've paid for tabs.
Yeah, so I need to call them up and be like, this is an invalid ticket.
We just need to do a hearing officer appointment. It
Yeah,
sucks,
you're
but
fine.
it's worth it.
Yeah, you can do it.
But
They're all
was-
virtual now too.
Perfect.
Yep. Anyway,
so
sorry.
that was we meandered very far from
Let's
the
move on to
topic,
the
sorry.
next topic.
Let's do. Okay, so I'm actually going to bring up a topic that we both apparently found
When I saw
independently.
Eric up
I
at
was
this
really
topic,
confused.
I was confused.
I thought I had 2 topics in a row. I was about to move this.
And okay, so I was scrolling through Facebook as you do when you're a boomer like myself, and I was scrolling through David Freiberger of Roadkill,
Yeah.
his Facebook, and normally that's just kind of political stuff that I don't really want to talk about, or like really, really boomer car stuff that I don't want to talk about. But he posted something about a trend in style in the 1960s in American cars that specifically started with Buick in 1961. And that
Yay.
was, if you ordered a brand new Buick in 1961 as a convertible, you could select a series of several different designer
Designer,
fabric tops. And I'm like, why the hell isn't this still a thing? Because you look in here on the photo, if you're doing the video version, there's houndstooth, there's white with color polka dots, there's pink with white polka dots, there's like a really nice, almost natural leather look, and then there's a blue and white, very much similar to like a China plate pattern.
Yeah.
And then also in the notes, I have to go back, but I looked up separately, there was also a series of Mopars.
Yes,
Oh.
I'm bringing one up right now. That we've had one Embraer trailer, and it is my favorite thing in the world.
Cool.
And I take it as a personal front that it wasn't assigned to me, because when this was being written, I was totally miserable writing a lifted Hummer.
Anyway,
Anyway,
and then here's the Mopar.
Yes, that's the Mopar. That is a mod top. Mod tops are
Mod top.
very cool.
But this was like a vinyl fixed top on the Mopars, right?
Yes. So
Yeah.
when you would get a Landau top,
Mhm.
you could get the option for the mod top, which would give you a floral top, and you could get it on any car. So this is a 318 3-speed Barracuda.
So nothing special, Barracuda.
But still, it's a V8 Barracuda. Well, because you could get a inline 6, 3 on the tree Barracuda. So
I'm
this
just looking at the top.
But what I'm saying is this is actually a pretty decently spec'd Barracuda. It's not bottom of the barrel. Like, somebody didn't just go like, I want mod top. I don't care about engine. Like, they
Fine.
made a point to be like, I want V8.
V8
Yes, I want V8.
and mod top.
And mod top. Very cool.
We just need to customize our cars more, because it makes me so sad to see all these cars. And thankfully, I think Gen Z is going to save this kind of culture and bring it back, because
I think so,
we
too.
live in a very college
Well,
part of town. We live next to like 4 different universities.
Look at
and-
people's computers and stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't
Yeah.
RGB your car very easily, but you can do this kind of crap.
Yeah,
exactly.
but like, so because we've got a lot of student housing around us, we get to see all the students' cars, and they all have Subaru Bajas, Geo Trackers.
but
They just have the,
the
most
thing is-
obscure
All right,
car
but the thing
in
is,
the brightest
here,
color.
1 second, honey. All right, I know you don't like the Baja, but
that's an understatement.
but
it's such a
you have to admit, compared to a Equinox, you have to go out of your way to actually find that, though.
I hate the Baja way
I
more
know,
than
but
any Equinox.
but the thing is you have, that means that somebody went out of their way and said, "I want this ridiculous vehicle." You don't accidentally end up with a Baja. You don't like go to a dealership and then go fuck and end up driving home in a Baja. Like you don't. That doesn't happen.
Corey accidentally had a Baja.
No, he
But
bought
that's
that.
No, he was given to him.
But that's the thing is you don't get like yellow turbo 5-speed.
It wasn't a turbo, but it was a yellow 5-speed.
Yeah, there's like.
Yuck.
But anyway, like.
But anywho, this college student has like like all these college students, instead of buying like fancy brand new bland cars, they're going and they're finding
the weirdo
obscure
thing.
weird
Obscure is
cars
good.
in
Baja bad.
bright colors and like.
You have
with
to get
the-
past your Baja thing because the thing is the fact that somebody actually goes out of their way to find a thing.
Daihatsu jumper. Gimme,
Yeah.
gimme.
Cool,
gimme,
but
gimme.
that's the thing is like the fact that as opposed to like what you're doing right now is you're being the boomer to a millennial that was saying, "Oh, you bought a Honda Civic? That's stupid."
No, because a Honda Civic's an excellent car. A Subaru Baja is a piece of objective shit.
Okay, and so to somebody with a 3rd generation Camaro,
Yeah.
they're going to be saying the exact same thing about EFs. I know firsthand.
But those are good cars.
Okay, cool, fine. The thing is that this is the car that got somebody interested in cars. It might not be what you want. Is objectively not great, but the thing is it's a starting place. It's like the kid that starts out with a Hyundai Tiburon.
Cool car.
Okay, fine. Automatic V6. They started out with a Hyundai Tiburon.
You can get a V6 in a first
Yes,
gen too?
2nd gen.
Okay.
But like you can get a Hyundai Tiburon, and then you're like, this is a sports car, and you're like, this isn't that great. I wonder what else I could get, as opposed to the kid that just like ended up with like a Camry and is like, cool. Well, I guess I'm gonna go play badminton now. Like this
And
is
a quirky starter car
Yeah,
is
that's
100%
what a
what I'm
Baja
into.
is.
A Baja is a piece of shit.
It's still a quirky, weird car though.
They could do better.
Great, but that actually got them into a car. So if you want to actually, see people be interested in cars instead of gatekeeping and being upset that it's a Baja, be like, yeah, that car's not that great. Here's a cool version of
I
that.
ignore those people until they get their second car, then we're friends.
No,
Perfect.
that doesn't work that way because then you know who's going to talk to them about cars?
Subaru people.
No, Blake Bodine. And they'll be like, why do you even care about a car? What cars are stupid? Just get whatever.
No, because they already did
No.
the gatekeeper car, so they're interested in the Subaru Baja for its quirky nature, so they're hooked at that
You
point.
can buy a Baja and buy that without being gatekeeped because you don't know other car people. You just go, this is an interesting thing to me.
But if
and
we-
you don't understand why it's bad.
If you seek out a Baja, though, and you buy that as your car because you like how it's quirky, you're already hooked.
No,
It's
you're
like
not.
your next car is not going to
You
be a
can
Juke.
very easily be gatekeeped at that point. I absolutely know this for a fucking
Good,
fact.
then fuck them.
Okay, whatever. Moving on to what was a great topic, to something that kind of got ruined because Eric wanted to gatekeep everyone.
Mod tops are mint.
We're going to talk about stereos and blaupunkt SQRs are very expensive. That is a good stereo to put into classic cars, and Continental has a much cheaper option that I discovered, which is actually made by VDO.
Awesome.
It's made by VDO under Continental's name, and it's kind of a retro-styled Bluetooth stereo, and it's literally a third the price of a SQR, and it looks great in like any 80s or 90s car.
It looks like it's got Bluetooth, USB, and aux. That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's a multimedia stereo. Okay.
Heck yeah.
Cool.
These got posted a couple times in BMW forums, and I never actually saw a profile of the bezel. The biggest thing we run into in like E30s and E36s, especially when you're like retro fitting E36 stereos into E30s and stuff like that, is it's a single din.
Yeah.
But like the actual, I don't know what you call it, like the X height, the thickness that comes out.
Yeah.
And the actual like bezel was a little bit thicker. But I think I've seen these Continentals and people are actually complimenting like how much thinner that ring is around it. So I think since it's sold as an aftermarket like retrofit, they might even come with a couple different.
I think so. Plus you have installation kits and the invention of a 3D printer.
True. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, and so that's actually something I know a lot of people do. Like CRXs, like just about every the black panel that's actually on the like center stack on a CRX.
Yeah.
All of that plastic is ABS plastic, and it's like, I'm trying to get something that's equivalent gauge. About the gauge, it's about that thick.
It's like the faceplate of the actual
Everything
stereo
is
installation thing.
as thick as this.
So it's like 2 mil maybe?
Maybe.
Maybe.
Mil and a half. But anyway, it's really thin gauge, and what'll happen is it will get very hot and it'll warp, and then it'll cool down and it'll crack. And then you end up having these situations where CRXs are known for having exploding HVAC controls, because the climate control temperature gauge is actually a cable that physically pulls and contracts and like extends the heater valve. Well, if you have a heater valve that's been in a car for 30 odd years, there'll be some dirt and shit, and takes a little bit extra force to twist
like
it.
The tension on it.
So what'll happen is you'll twist it and it'll crack the bezel, and you'll have enough force there that'll shred everything. It'll just send buttons and everything going flying. So it's a literal exploding HVAC control that they have.
Has that been solved by like
3D printing? Yes.
Okay.
You 3D print a new one, and then you just pull it all apart and you put it on, and that's what you do. And so I think that's probably what's going on here. Is there's so many like weird different. I've learned how easy it is to model things in 3D.
Like Tinkercad is amazing.
I just use Blender because I use that for.
That's really good too.
Yeah, I use Blender for Unreal Engine for if I need to make an asset or something.
Yeah.
And it's super easy. Like for that video game I've been working on, I have actually got updates because I was having a very tough time with AI in that. And so I actually started doing a side project as like a first-person shooter. Okay. Because it's way easier to learn AI with a first-person shooter because there's way fewer variables, weirdly enough. Yeah, because it basically...
that makes sense.
Everything's nav meshed, and it's just a guy with a gun. He's trying to find you.
Okay.
And you have to figure out, okay, well, how do I tell the AI to not just stand in front of my crosshairs and shoot at me? Yeah. So it's literally everything with the first-person shooter. It's like 75% of making a good first-person shooter is AI.
I could see that.
And the other 25% is literally everything else.
Well, and it's got to be like a knife edge too, because like once you finally get the AI to like navigate a map correctly and like still make mistakes, as soon as they find you, it's a computer. It can bullseye you. It's like, how do you then program it to like, hey?
So this is actually what you do. I'll tell you exactly what you do. You do a line trace to target character. You have whatever triggered their perception, and then you do a line trace to that, and then with that line trace, you do a random float of plus or minus 5%.
Okay.
And then that will actually also change your difficulty. So you can have that float be a variable.
Okay.
And then when you change the difficulty, like in the game options,
yeah,
all you're really doing is you're just changing what that
percentage is.
That
makes sense.
In a lot of games, what they'll do is they'll change the enemy health, and that's stupid because that just makes them a bullet sponge. And I hate bullet sponges.
I don't like that either. During the LAN party, whenever we're playing Halo, I'm like, I shot you 4 times. Like, well, yeah, my overshield though. I'm like,
that's why I want one
kill.
Next time I come to a LAN party, I'm gonna buy an extra copy of Hell Let Loose for you, because
I saw it was on sale the other day.
It's very good,
and I missed it.
I highly recommend it.
I was in Colorado. I'm like, damn it.
It's a very good. You can actually buy games on your phone with the Steam app.
Didn't try that. It's good to know.
I learned that because there was a flash sale. There was like a 5-hour sale on a game, and I was at an airport. I'm like, nope.
Got it. It makes sense.
Buying this $60 game for $5. Yeah.
It's better than Humble Bundle.
But yeah, so what you do is you can just like do like you change the line tracing and stuff. But anyway, to the racing game that was I'm making. When you do that line trace, that can also be how accurately the AI follows the path along the racetrack.
Yeah.
And so that's doing a doing the AI going exactly along the line. That's how I was showing you I was having those issues with like the cars every time they hit a corner they just spin out.
Yeah.
Because the car will literally just quickly just jerk the wheel 45 degrees to the left and the rear end kicks out.
Is that just because of like a deviation in the path that's
Yeah,
not quite
it'll
smoothed out
just
or
go.
something?
It'll go from this point immediately to this point and find the path of least resistance. Yeah, and so, or if you tell it to like follow the spline exactly, which is like the road, it'll keep exactly like say 4 feet of distance on each side of the car. It'll go dead center down the center of the
That
track.
kind of strikes me as how ultimate drivers drive. So
Yeah,
that's-
it's true. But if you do a deviation, that'll allow them to actually be fun to race against. And,
I gotcha.
Yeah, and now
That's
it's
cool.
also I know how to make them
You gotta
aim
put
at you.
the sporadic.
Well, I mean, yeah, but you could probably edit the spline, right, to like make that erratic.
Yeah, what is you don't even have to do that. What you can do is you can have that random float, and then you can introduce another variable that can act like the driver getting distracted.
Okay.
So
Can I suggest that one part of this Ultima challenge is Dinky Town
yeah,
by
my God.
Crunchies, where and the Blarneys, where people literally park in the middle of the one way
Yeah.
and block parked cars in.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah, there was a girl on TikTok who was like, I was in my car and I looked this guy directly in the eyes and they turned off their car and left. And a
That's pretty
cop
dinky
drove
tiny.
by and did nothing.
but anyway, so
And so that just needs to be part of the Ultima experience because I felt like that was giving very much Ulta energy.
So-
Because I see that happen like every day.
yeah, basically
stunning.
what I would do to like make them be erratic is I would put a set timer and then have that timer be another kind of random float of like between 10 to 45 seconds, and every 10 to 45 seconds I would have it reintroduce what that accuracy float is for
Okay.
it following the path. So sometimes it'll straight and it'll sometimes just go bananas. Yeah, but so anyway,
But it has to compound and get worse, right? Because I mean,
yeah, exactly. And then so
Depends if
speaking
it's just
about
one tire driving.
perfect.
anyway, so the Continental Bluetooth stereo, once you 3D print a bezel for it, would probably fit into most anything. I saw
would
it
think
in
so.
a Pagoda, which wasn't the most ideal application for it.
I think it would just be like the lighting color, because I mean, Pagoda is all just natural halogen bulbs, I think, and this is like What make has this?
It is a 80s stereo in a 60s car.
well, that too. Yes, you're right. You're right. The look, is, I know, but
That's
like
what I
at
mean.
night, that's always been like the biggest eye opener for me. In the early 2000s, when upgraded single DINs were all the rage, I'm like, this is awesome. And then you finally get to it at night. You've got orange gauges, and you've got a bright green, non-dimmable.
Not only that, it's usually in demo mode, so it's going to full pride flag everywhere, like everywhere. It looks like a dance club inside your car.
Honestly, you may as well at that point.
Yeah.
So, especially the ones with the early OLEDs.
But yeah, so I'm curious. I guess I'm gonna have to find a car with a single. I'm probably gonna upgrade this stereo on my Civic at some point when I actually decide to work on it.
Well, just make sure to 3D print a new bezel so you don't explode. Or that's just CRX, or was that Civic
Just
too?
CRX.
Oh, wow! Those cars just seem
They're cursed in every way.
great.
I love the CRX.
They really are just the most cursed car. So whenever somebody says they like the CRX, I tell them they're wrong, because they're literally the most cursed car.
I've literally picked fights where Ryan's like, hey, just leave it be. They don't know better. And I'll actually, like, dig into this poor kid who's like, I love the CRX. And I'm like,
You and I
"Here's
are the
why."
same in some ways, yes.
Like,
I'm just like, no, you
It-
don't
it's-
like the CRX, and this is why, and you are wrong. And they're like, oh, okay. And they just think I'm neurotic, which I am,
I was
because
gonna
the
say,
CRX
what?
made me that way.
yes, and
Yeah.
You're not wrong. It's just,
I'm
but
just like,
also.
if you've lived my experience with a CRX, that would no longer be your favorite vehicle.
Oh my, yes.
But and for the misogyny
you-
on trying to get the parts, just it's worst car.
Go back and listen to the earlier episodes of the Carbitrage Podcast. Might have been Motor Cult. Probably was Motor Cult
Yeah.
at the time where we discussed CRXs.
yeah.
And
So
I was
it's
probably
eye-opening.
kicking and screaming the entire
Eye-opening.
time.
Probably.
I think we
but-
should probably go back and like revisit, maybe not next episode, but like sometime this summer, revisit some cars that like are very popular. Because I know we've talked about this previously, and there's probably more cars that are added to this list now. 'Cause it's been a few years, but we should visit cars that are very popular incorrectly. Like they're just incorrectly attributed to being good.
So do people think they're good because they're popular? Or?
Well, like they're very popular and everybody thinks that they're great, and it's like Kind of. You're close. It's not. This isn't what you're thinking of, though.
Right.
It's like the CRX is like that, or like
People, they look at it and like, wow.
yeah, or
But,
like
you don't understand.
people like they're like E46s are great, and then they get like an E46 convertible.
I've noticed the people
With
that
no
are
service history.
diehard about CRXs don't give the Civic hatch at the time of day, and
Yeah.
it confuses me because I'm like,
This is what I mean.
That-
It's people that don't that like are like they're close to being like correct, and they're like, yeah, this is cool. Like people that really like Dodge Neons.
Or people that like coupe BMW 3 Series and
That's, I mean,
hate
yeah.
sedans, even
Exactly.
though they're objectively better. Yeah, we should do that. That
Or
actually
like
would be
yeah,
pretty
or another one, Hakoska Skylines.
Yup.
Are the Hakoska Coupe won 1/10 the number of races that the sedan won.
And even the like the R32 versus the R33 and 4 GTR, I feel like the R32 gets really shit on by a lot of people just because it isn't one of the later cars, even
Yeah.
though it's technically almost identical to a 33.
They are pretty much identical. I mean, and to a 34. The 33 we all know is actually just the worst. Period.
But like, there are a ton of people out there that would like, for no reason at all, just,
Oh.
I'm not gonna buy an R32. I want an R33. I'm like, well,
They're
that's-
just wrong.
that's
Yes.
that's incorrect. But I mean,
Yeah. You
Moving
want the
on.
heavier, worse looking
I know.
version.
Whenever
that's
I,
not,
I refuse
whenever I see R33, I go, that's not an R34. I get let down. Anyway, what were you
I
supposed to
like
say?
refuse to talk to people about Skylines because they always have wrong opinions on Skylines,
Yeah, that's kind of why I
and they're
quit.
always really mean about it.
well,
Like
I mean,
they're not nice about it. They're like really mean.
That
about
goes
it.
for Nissan owners as a whole.
let me edit that spline real quick.
That is not
like-
just Skyline
Yeah,
people.
they're
That's
so
G35 people. That's
You-
Z
you could
car
be like-
people. That's Sentra people. That's 240 people.
Like
They're
I've
Altima.
asked questions out loud, not necessarily directed at people, like just kind of to myself around a Skyline, and then 3 teenage boys come to correct me, and I'm like, I'm trying to figure this out myself. Thank you. And then the owner comes and is like, "Meh, meh, meh," and I'm like,
Yeah, it's the worst experience. The only way I can ever talk to somebody that owns a Nissan is if they go out of their way and tell me that they dislike other Nissan
I
people.
only
and I'm
talk
like, okay, I
to
understand
Brian
this.
and Hip about
And
Skylines
Papua.
and Papua. But like 3 people are
Yeah,
the
this-
only people in the world that I will talk Skylines with because
That's
they're nice about it.
Pretty fair, but I mean, those are probably the people that are like, yeah, I hate Nissan people.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Those are 3 people that just dislike Nissan people. Like Brian's a doomer. Hip doesn't like cars, and Papua is very, very particular about the. She isn't a brand loyalist.
Oh my
She is a
God.
specific trim level loyalist. Papua is one of my favorite people because she's like.
I've never met this person,
She's
but
really cool.
oh my god,
You'll meet her at some point.
I was
but
gonna
she-
say the accuracy of the first 2 that I have met.
Yeah, like a doomer and not a car person, and then like
Like
just
Hip
like
hates cars. I'm like, he totally does.
yeah, he's not a car person. He just thinks that a few cars are very interesting, and Brian is just always he's a doomer. Like that's what he is. He's just it's
I
always
could
dooming
crash
to him.
one of Hip's car, and he would be like,
Oh, I remember when he was up at, was it Proving Grounds when he hit the wall with his like super nice 180 SX, was it?
Yeah, 240 SX. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, it's the Sylvia, but yeah.
But then he just like meh,
Yeah.
turned it into this full blown drift car. I'm
Yeah,
like,
and
"Alright."
Pafua's got a similar right-hand drive Sylvia Q's, and
she takes very good care of it.
she takes
Alright.
very good care of it. But she's like, I like Sylvia coupes. I don't like hatchbacks. I don't like 240s. I like Sylvia coupes.
I respect that.
Like, all right, cool. Let's talk. Like, this is very cool. I understand exactly why you like this car because this is a good car.
She had a terrible husband who was very, let's just say he was a Subaru lad.
No.
I think he actually had a Baja.
Yeah, he did have a
Oh
Baja.
man. Anyway.
But
He's exactly what you think of when you think of
Corey?
Baja owner.
No.
It's a joke.
He is a 30-year-old man-child. So,
So
like,
Corey?
like most Subaru owners. Anyway,
I was thinking of the mouth fedora first, but anyway, yeah. Next topic. This one is oddly aged already, even though I only put it in here 2 weeks ago. But every time this company does something bad, which they do all the time, I have to bring it up because people need to stop
Yes.
with the rose-tinted glasses. Tesla, for like the 6th time since they brought out the Model Y, has increased the price across the base price across their entire lineup by $6,000 per unit. So this is one of the few companies that no longer has a federal tax credit,
Yeah.
and now they're adding almost that entire used-to-be benefit in savings back on to the price tag that already you weren't saving on. Who is still buying these?
I don't get it. whenever I see a Tesla with a temporary plate, I'm like, you looked at every option, and this was the one you picked?
They didn't. They saw one of these on the road one time, and they opened up an app on their phone, and they're like, they see the little hedgehog, like, hell yeah, good job on your order.
On NPR Marketplace, they said that Teslas are the new Apple.
Yeah.
And it really is. It really is, because Apple people were like that when we were like teenagers. Is like,
I mean, I was an Apple.
I know you were, and that's why I'm
Still
telling
am.
you this to your face, because Apple people are the worst about brand loyalty.
Still really like Apple products because they're better, but like Teslas suck.
But like, no, what I'm saying is like Apple people.
aggressiveness.
Apple people are so aggressively pro Apple, and you're like, yeah, but like, they're like, I'm gonna get this iPhone because this iPhone's durable and reliable. I'm like, but the last 3 were bricked by an update, right? And they're like, yeah, but it didn't break. I'm like, but it got bricked by an update. Though.
No tech is very good anymore, but
that's kind of what I'm talking about. Is like,
We're
Yeah.
talking about
Apple,
the like early 2010s where
like 03 to 2010, like, oh yeah, they could
yeah,
do
no,
no
they,
wrong.
yeah,
I
they
mean,
could.
their
And
product
what I'm
is-
talking about is like the people like when we were in high school, they're like Apple. You're like, all right, you're annoying, but like, fucking shut up. And then like, and we were, and like, basically it was like early 2010s, and they're like Apple, and like everything was going wrong in their life.
with the the antenna issues with
Yeah,
the
and
4,
I'm
and then
just like-
batteries exploding, and
Yeah,
the
I'm
software.
microwaving them for some reason.
Well, I mean that was 4chan, but
But like, I'm like looking, I'm like, yeah, this is just Tesla people now. It's like they just hear the name and go, oh, this is a good EV. And it's like, no, it's really not. You just hear the name a lot.
I know the person I sat next to during graduation that microwaved his iPhone owns a Tesla now.
yeah, I believe it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, this is the parallels are uncanny because like I hate Tesla, I hate the company, I hate the product, love their charging network. Macs, like, okay, their hardware used to be the best all the way around too. It hasn't been for ages.
Yeah.
But their OS was still the best, and now even that's like, well, yeah, but now
They're
everything's on the web,
tech and
so it doesn't matter.
finance bros that aren't good at tech or finance.
Okay, so here's a little bit of a tangent. Never happens on this podcast. I have been auditing a bunch of companies and models of photocopier. I'm replacing ours at work. That's just a thing that happens.
Yeah.
I have gotten 7 bids. I've demoed 3 units. Every single time I've gone in to demo one of these units, there is a gray Tesla parked in the parking lot. I've asked. It's always been their IT guy. I'm just like,
Yep.
great. Now I have to get a different car. Thank you.
No, you really do.
Maybe after I pay it off.
I
but,
think-
like,
That's like
I
the
think-
it's like the running joke of everybody is like, I do make fun of your car.
That's
and
fine.
you're aware of that.
Yeah, I
because
don't care
everybody
about the
does.
car at
Yeah,
all,
you
yeah.
also like you bought it for a specific thing.
you
Like,
look inside of it and you're like, oh my god.
You bought it so you literally did not have to drive to work. Like, yeah, that's why you bought it. Like, it makes sense. I understand that.
Also, it's disposable, and if it gets totaled tomorrow,
yeah, you don't care.
Ta-da!
Like, it's literally a disposable car.
Yep.
And like, I mean,
Like a Toyota Corolla.
yeah,
it's an appliance.
I make fun of it, and I'm like, oh yeah, my buddy's like, he's a diehard Mac person, like when we were in high school, and then he like went through the withdrawal syndrome of being a diehard Mac guy in the 2010s, and I had to watch him do that, and it's Groundhog Day with Tesla now. It's just
I've had
he's going
Macs the
through
whole
it.
time, but like I'm not a
I don't
diehard
think
like
you have
fan
the
of them anymore.
rose-colored glasses.
No,
No.
the main reason I use one at home is because like the file browser is better, and like that's the main thing I use.
You've also this is something a lot of people don't think about is the fact that you're very used to that OS.
I'm
I
also used to
tried
Windows
Linux,
and
I
Linux.
refuse to. I hate Linux with every fiber of my being.
Which distro?
I don't know, whatever came on my 2 free geek computers.
Oh, yeah, I could see that. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a really dumbed down distro.
I hate it. Everything requires programming to do anything.
Have you
It's
been to Free
annoying.
Geek since they got the computer reset stuff in stock?
No.
I really want to
We've
go
been
because they've
trying.
got like just
We
tons
should go
of
after
like
this.
desktops.
We do have to go. We should go after this because I have
can
to
do that.
get a.
Peter wants to go too.
Oh, perfect.
Okay, we'll go.
I have to get a very cheap and simple CD player for my grandmother. So,
Perfect. We should go to
Because
Free Geek.
Ryan's cracked the code that music really helps her with her Alzheimer's because his dad was too
My dad's an idiot, so.
big of an idiot to think about all
I've told
the
him this.
research.
And I'm like every other form of research has said that when you are trying to get somebody that is, like, not what's the
Just-
polite term for somebody that has a
Well, it's
disability.
just degenerative brain disease.
yeah, when you have some sort of like degenerative brain disease or learning disability or like behavioral disability, that you, if you correlate it with the music,
Yeah.
it's very helpful. Similar to the whole plot point of Stranger Things right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, I have to get Grandma a CD player.
Yeah, because Ryan's Father's Day gift was to go visit her, and then he played music on his phone and was like, "Look at this new record player I have."
Yeah, Grandma's like, "What is this?" I'm like, "It's a tiny record player. It's a very small record player."
That's probably the It's
And
probably
she was totally
It.
mind blown because I was playing like I wasn't playing like my dad would just play like Frank Sinatra for her because like
Sure.
that's all he knows. I'm like, "No, Dad, like don't do that. That's what she was listening to when she was middle aged. Like play her something from her childhood. Like I was like,
are you supposed to do like classical music because of its
no,
complexity?
not even.
You
No,
have to
it has to be something that means something to them. So
Oh,
like my
okay.
grandmother, she went to high school in the 40s and she was from central Minnesota. So I played the Andrews Sisters because they were from central Minnesota and they were like the Britney Spears of the 1940s.
All right.
So
and she was able to remember a
Came right
lot
back.
about.
she came
Wow.
right the hell back. Like
I
she
mean-
was like,
Like
drool-
she even remembered me, and she hasn't met me before. She
I was
had
gonna say
Alzheimer's.
exercising those pathways
Yeah.
probably does like
yeah, she's only met Jana once and she like it was just like sipping on like some orange juice and like drooling, and then I put on the Andrews Sisters and she like started playing like solitaire and asking about Jana. Like it was really cool. Yeah, it
Neat.
worked. So
Yeah.
music is very good.
It's
yes, music is
very
good.
therapy. But I do have to say something about Tesla real quick before
Sure.
we move on. It's like, so I had when I was at my preschool, there was a family that upgraded from their Prius to a Tesla.
Side graded.
That's
Yeah,
that's not even a side
side-graded.
grade.
Whatever.
There's a high likelihood I'm gonna end up with a Prius after the Fiat.
I love Priuses.
Prius C.
Prius C's.
You gotta get a prime.
No, the C is the one you want to get.
That handle's nice.
It's basically a lightweight Prius because
Yeah.
it's all the Prius stuff and it weighs like 400 pounds less than a normal Prius.
Yeah, but plugging it in's cool.
Mm-hmm.
I wish they did a C prime. That'd be awesome.
Yes.
But the C has a racing pedigree,
It's true.
and there's actually aftermarket parts for it, unlike with the Prime.
Yeah, we can talk about the Prius
Yep.
some other time. And they're just having another kid, and they're kind of like outgrowing the Prius. Whatever. I don't believe that, but that's everyone goes. I'm having another kid. We need a slightly bigger vehicle.
No, they say I'm having my first kid. I need a 3-row crossover.
Yeah. So I think they got in the base model when it first came out.
Okay.
The Y.
Based on why.
Ooh,
Yeah.
yuck.
Not necessarily base model, but they
Well,
got the
just,
Y
you said
when
why.
it just.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
No, the
But
Y's not good. It's a
I've
3,
never
but like,
seen
crossover
that
3.
like fit a person better, because I'm like, yep, that makes sense. A husband with 2 kids and several dogs. Yep.
Oh no.
yeah,
That likes to present themselves
decisions.
as somebody super into tech, and I'm just like, lately every time I see somebody buying a Tesla, I'm just like, or
Right,
looking into it, and I try
Especially
to.
now that they're $6,000
it's
more.
it's somebody that's a computer nerd that buys a pre-built gaming computer.
Yeah.
That's literally what it
it's
is.
always-
By power.
It's
That's
an
true.
I buy power. Yeah.
And it's always like whenever somebody's like, yeah, I'm thinking about buying a Tesla, and I go, oh, have you considered other electric cars? Like, we don't have a ton in Minnesota, but if you go look in California where they're much more mandatory to be sold, you can find a lot of different cool cars that are electric. And it's almost always they just want the Tesla. They don't care about the electric car. They just want the Tesla.
To be fair, branding matters a lot. Like when I was like
Yeah.
a kid, when I was younger and I got my Civic, like if you tried to sell me on a Corolla, I would have like fought you to the death. I'm like, no, I'm getting my Civic hatchback. Like, and you'd be like, Corolla's pop-up headlights. Corolla has a 4 AGE. I'm like, cool. The Civic has a D series. I'm getting that.
Yeah, I think it
getting
does.
this.
Imagine
I
having
think it
2
does
camshafts.
correlate with
Yeah.
the brand loyalty that a lot of younger millennials have. Not Gen
I
Z is
do
steering away. But
go out of my way every time somebody like obviously has a question about my car. I'm like, I've been driving EVs for a long time. I would never buy another Tesla. I
Yeah.
will absolutely own another electric car,
But not a Tesla.
not a Tesla.
Yeah,
because
understandable.
how many times has the screen broken that rendered
3.
it
The
useless?
car's been really good. Like the product itself that I own is totally fine. But
the newer ones.
everything else about that company, no way.
Yeah.
No way.
Also, you're totally fine, and everybody on Earth's totally fine, are 2 very different things.
Yep.
Because you're totally fine is a BMW 850 that has
Which has
been
been
actually
awesome.
been pretty reliable for
Well,
you.
that's because people are wrong about the 8
Yeah.
Series.
But see, this is the thing is like fine to you, like your level of average of like what reliable is.
I buy the right car, that's for sure.
Yeah, but like your level, you're like an average good car is like BMW 850, Ferrari 355, cars that are not known to be terribly reliable.
And let's be honest,
And you make 'em
normally,
reliable.
yeah.
Which is
and
amazing.
for you to
Buy
say
the right one.
for you to say it's been fine, there's a huge caveat to that. It's like me saying like this is a reasonable car for a person to own.
Yeah.
And you go, okay, well, what's a reasonable car to you? And I'm like, a Fiat 500 is a perfect brand new car.
Yeah.
That's a perfectly reasonable car for anybody. Even though I found out Mustang Mach E does not fit in the back of it.
Oh.
It's
Well, that's one serious black mark on the 500.
That is.
Finally, that's actually the first one
Yeah.
I've heard of.
yeah. I bought one on Friday, and
You're
I was like fitting it into the back. And I'm like, I had to put the back seat down, and I'm like,
This is not ideal.
We've made multiple IKEA trips.
yeah, like everything fits in the car. We had to put the seat down, but like as soon as you're trying to put something in the trunk, it doesn't work. Because I'm like sitting here trying to like finagle it into the trunk, and I'm like, if I get pulled over, what is the way that this will be the least threatening?
That would be the left seat down, I think.
Yeah,
so,
it was left seat down, butt towards me. Bayonet under things. Yeah, it's just
He's
That's
glad
just the
that
bayonet
I
blankie.
forget a lot of sweatshirts in his car.
thank God.
I do like finding like moving blankets and things in the car sometimes. Like, oh fuck yeah.
One thing I do want to talk about though,
Mm-hmm.
segueing, reasonable cars.
Yes.
In 2017, do you know what minivan sales did?
What do you mean? Like,
In general,
Between the year
minivans
2017,
versus like crossovers.
oh
and
god, I
things.
bet it was like 1 in 10.
do you know what the sales have done between 2017 and 2021 though?
I hope that they've improved.
They've gone up 47%.
Oh hell yes.
Yeah, because all right, this is the best part. First off, minivans. I've always been an elitist to the Kai Rizdal Marketplace has too. And he's like totally vindicated about this.
Minivans are the best practical
so
family
great.
vehicle. It's just like there's
I love
no.
them so much.
You just
And
it
so
is a fact.
this is the thing is then a lot of people like older millennials and a lot of Gen Xers stepped away from minivans because they saw it as the mom car, and they all bought crossovers. And they're like, look how cool our crossover is. We're taking it to soccer practice. And
They
so
can't
now,
fit the gym bag in the back.
this is the thing is now the minivan syndrome is now crossover syndrome.
Oh.
And it's cooler and more based to have a minivan because a minivan looks like an Overlander.
yeah.
And like,
Well, especially now that they're like all-wheel drive. you
yeah,
can get 'em
like
with the
so,
packages
like
and-
the thing is like because it's so difficult to find an actual off-road truck now because they're all just mom vehicles.
Yeah, body on frame or unibody.
Unibody, yeah, like barely like four-wheel drive, and they can't go off-roading anywhere, and they don't have any
Says
additional.
VIN number.
Yeah, okay,
What?
that's also an ad.
I know,
For
but
bumper, don't use bumper. They don't understand
Sorry.
acronyms.
But anyway, it's also probably a scam. But anyway, so yeah, minivan sales are up, and a lot of people are correlating it to the fact that it's impossible to find a good off-road truck now, and all the good off-road trucks are ancient,
Well,
and they're
remember
not
that-
modern.
there was a Toyota came out with. I think it was actually a trim that they were gonna sell. It was like that jacked up one with the all-terrain tires
Yeah.
for the
Yeah.
Sienna.
Yeah, because like so many people.
I want that.
Because that's the thing is like people are actually using them for going out camping now, where they were previously using a truck. Because like now you can just camp inside the minivan.
I do have
You
to
just
say,
lay all the seats down, put
Hell
a
yeah.
bed back
I've
there.
had a mystery broken front end in my Sienna for a year and a half.
It's a
no,
swimmer link.
Oh,
two
okay,
and a
like a
half
clunk or
years
something.
now.
It's
and
a very
it's
alarming
still
clunk.
Good.
So like
it's
Rolls
very
Royce after
crazy.
a missing piece of road
Yeah.
clunk.
Yes.
Okay.
It is like it sounds like the entire strut assembly, like strut mount, has broken in half.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, that's
I-
exact. I know the noise.
It's
Yep,
that
and
noise.
Not fun.
It terrifies people when I'm driving them and when I'm parking.
You
and
can
they
hear it through the phone.
phone.
You can hear it through the phone. I can tell when she's getting close to the house because the potholes get worse.
That's a very nervous smile.
But I like just over the pandemic and just everything. I just haven't gotten it checked out, but I've been fine, and it's fine. And so like
Minivans are good.
This is fine.
I can drive it over a curb, and like it took several curbs to make it clunky. Like I'm talking 10 years worth of curbs.
But
On
so
an already 10-year-old
with-
car at that
with
point.
minivans,
Yeah.
like, yeah, they're the off-roading, like, freedom vehicle. You
Yeah.
can also live in them because van life is a whole thing, and that's like Sprinters and stuff, but, like, Sprinters genuinely suck as a daily, but you get to Sienna, it's like 85% of a Sprinter. And then also, no small part, van culture. Like with a K.
Mhm.
like Huey and
Yep.
stuff. Like that's not a small part of making minivans cool.
I saw a VIP'd van on the Pikes Peak Mountain. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh yeah.
Yeah. Like,
you had to park
that's-
on the street, but it was still cool.
Yeah, and so a lot of people like that's a whole like genre of thing, and yeah, I'm totally here for
They're
it.
also a lot more good looking than SUVs. SUVs right now are fine, but the crossovers are so ugly and generic. But
They're-
Siennas have a personality. Like
This is the thing is whenever I see a crossover, it's kind of like when you go to like the Gap or like PacSun, you see a Metallica shirt,
yeah,
and you're like, you're not really into heavy metal. You just want to look like it.
Or you just like how their logo looks
Yeah.
and you have no idea what it means.
Yeah, like you don't really like it's a poser thing. Like to be like bring
Which
back
is
like,
I can
to-
see the disdain in your eyes.
to bring back like to bring back like middle school speak. It's a poser thing. Like whenever I see a crossover, like dude, you're a poser. Like you're the same person that
you
wore
want an
skate.
SUV, but you're too scared.
No, you're the same person that wore skate shoes. And never went skateboarding. You're the same person.
The perfectly clean etnies?
You're the person who loved pop punk and punk music, and all you listen to is Avril Lavigne.
Mm.
And
Why
like,
do you have to go and make things so complicated?
Yeah,
Oh
exactly.
my god.
but
I
like,
feel unsafe
it's-
here.
like you're the kid that's like super into hip hop music, but all you listen to is 50 Cent. Like, you're just like the most like you're a poser. That's what you are. Like it's the worst. That's what a crossover is to me. Is it's a poser mobile because like you're lying to me when you're saying, oh, it's easier to load into. Like no, it's not any easier than a
You know,
minivan.
the liftover height's actually way worse on most
Yeah,
crossovers.
for most cars. And like, oh, but it's comfortable to sit in. I'm like, nope, minivan with the seat adjusted up is just fine.
It's probably
Like-
more comfortable.
It's got good headliner. That's literally not true. Because to give you a commanding view of the road, you have to sacrifice headliner.
Yeah. I will defend my Sienna. Like, very few people
You want a top hat on it.
like
Yes.
very few people go, oh, you drive a Sienna now. Whereas when I was first driving it, people were like, oh, you drive a Sienna? And I'm like, yeah, it's my mom's car. Now that it's my car, I'm like, hell yeah, I drive a Sienna because
Nah,
they're
you
like
gotta
cool
you gotta
now.
own that shit.
The other
Like-
thing is, a Sienna legitimately will beat the fucking shit out of most sports cars.
Yeah,
Oh my
and
god,
it's
yes.
amazing. Like,
Like-
I don't necessarily like
Especially now
driving.
that they're all hybrid too. I mean, you get the extra
Yeah.
boost from that thing.
I don't like driving my mom's Sienna right now because you have no road feel, and that's because my, assisted steering has been leaking for the past 10 years. So, like, it's not very electric. Like, so I'm very used to feeling everything, and you feel nothing in the newer Siennas. But I think that's what people want. You know, nowadays they don't want to feel.
Well, they would
the road.
rather have
by
their
the way,
driver assists for
the,
sure. And I think a lot of
the
that's-
all-wheel drive version of the Sienna you're thinking of is the XLE all-wheel drive Woodland edition, and that is
7.6 seconds.
that's for the normal trim level.
Hell yeah. You can order that, right? I think you can.
You can get a Woodland edition. The
Yeah.
Woodland edition's 8.5 because it's lifted.
Well,
and
it's
it's
fine,
got
it's
off-road
cool.
tires.
Yeah.
But
I want that.
the Sienna, I think all of them are hybrid now. The ones that are sold.
I think a majority of
I
them
think
are.
they're
I think you can get like a stripper that's not.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
like,
but
the
my
all-wheel drive
mom's-
system is through the road, though, right? It uses the rear e-motor, like the
Yeah.
Highlander and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, my mom is kind of like, as much as she loves her current Sienna, she's like, she was asking me about a hybrid system because she doesn't know, and I was like trying to explain it to her because I'll have to talk about this next episode, but my dad's gonna probably have to lemon his Ridgeline.
We got to get Scott back on to talk about the ID4 because
yeah.
this is getting better and better too.
Okay, yeah. But so my dad had
That's
a
awesome.
hybrid Outlander for like a month and a half.
Really? A plug-in?
Yes.
That's super cool. Why
It
did he
was-
get rid of that?
It was a loaner. It was a
Oh.
loaner from the shop, but he really enjoyed it.
Well, I should buy one then.
He's gonna get a Maverick. We'll talk about that. Because he has to have a truck with a bed. Unfortunately.
Has to.
Yeah. But so my mom was like asking more about the hybrid, and so we were telling her, and now she's convinced, and she wants a Sienna hybrid, and I'm like, yes.
Do
my
it, get
mom's
another
gonna
Sienna,
Get a like it was like we'll just be a family of Siennas. Let's do that.
Perfect. There's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with that.
No,
Siennas
there's
are
everything
good.
right about it.
Yes.
So the 2004 BMW Z4
Mhm.
has a significantly slower 0 to 60 time than a Sienna.
Was it a 2.5 or 3.0?
2.5.
Yeah.
The 3.0
About
was
the same?
marginally faster.
Okay.
It was 0.2 of a second faster than a minivan.
And those are going to be manuals, and the
Yeah.
boomer driving it's not going to be able to shift it properly. Unless it's Steve Dulcich.
No, I'm just thinking about it. I just typed in Z4 2.5i 0-60 time and then Z4
Maybe it is an auto
0-60
then.
time. And probably an auto. Oh.
But the 3
But,
liters, I think,
uh,
were...
So if you want to give like the highest performance one that like Z4 that you could get had a 15.10 quarter mile time,
Mm-hmm.
and the Sienna is faster than that quarter mile.
That's okay. The quarter mile is very impressive to me, given the frontal area. I thought you were just talking 0 to 60.
Well, I think it front halves it.
That could be. I
Cause
mean, yeah.
it's all-wheel drive and it's got an ass load of torque. Like it probably, it front halves it. Because 0-60 times.
Okay, let me talk about drag races I'd like to see. Bam, right
yeah,
there.
Toyota Sienna is 15.4 second quarter mile, whereas a 15.1. So sorry, the Z4 would edge it out, but you run that back to back. That 0.3 of a second is a bad launch.
Probably. Oh yeah. Oh my God, yeah. Or somebody sleeping on the tree.
Yeah, I think if you preload a all-wheel drive, I would do a front-wheel drive actually. If you preload a front-wheel drive Sienna and you keep that traction control off, I bet you could dust a Z4.
Every time I talk about
And
Siennas,
tires
I
too,
love them
potentially.
more.
I mean,
No, I
I-
mean it's
Just
as
I
you
fall
should.
in love every
Minivans are
time.
great.
They're great.
There's a list of 3 there that I can't make any bigger because the site's
I have to
terrible.
say-
But they're
I
all
literally
good.
just looked up.
No, I'm not faulting you for it.
This link is literally the link from the NPR Marketplace podcast from where they cited their source.
NPR.
Yeah, so
I see.
Kai Rizdal is like, he announced it. He was like, I am vindicated. As you may know, I am a minivan owner, and I've been a minivan elitist for the last 20 years.
Very good.
And he's like, now it's time for me to give up my minivan, though.
Now I have to hope that these crossover FOMO people
Yeah.
Yeah.
buy minivans.
Yes.
But yeah, I guess since Kai Rizdal's an empty nester, now he's thinking about getting a Bronco or actual like he was looking for something that you can take the convertible top off of, but it has a hard top and has enough space to actually hold things. So probably a Bronco is what he's end up with.
Probably.
Yeah.
Again, the Wrangler's pretty long in the tooth, and it's a Wrangler, so you have
It's
to put
also
the angry
bad in every way.
poo-poo eyes
It's
on
also
it.
bad in every way.
Just make sure to get in touch with them. Say, don't buy the 2.7.
Four-cylinder.
Get the 4-cylinder because reasons.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Hi,
yes,
Kai
minivans
Rizdal.
are also
Can you
just
please get this
going to be the
engine?
answer.
But
moving
yeah,
forward.
his whole purpose of getting rid of it is he's like, the only reason I'm not doing it is I don't want to look like a hipster. I don't want to be a single guy with nobody else in the car driving around a minivan going, look at my great minivan, haha. He's like, I don't
Okay.
want to create a problem. He's just like, I'm done with the need for a minivan and I no longer need it. Because he had 3 kids at once.
Oh my
who
God.
all did sports.
Oh no.
Yeah, he needed a minivan.
Correct. Or I mean, yeah.
And a dog. Yeah, so yeah, he definitely needed a minivan.
You might have needed 2 minivans for
And
that.
yeah, also he was like into like camping and stuff. So like he did minivan stuff before it was cool. Like you take your minivan stuff with the dog and your whole family, like 2 kayaks, you take it out to like.
Were minivans cool in like 86 to 88? I don't even know.
Then you can get them with a turbo and a manual. I don't see why not. Yes, Easy E had a Astro.
Well, there you go. So
And
I mean, we've had
Bismarcky-
several
Bismarcky
cycles.
had a MPV. Wu-Tang Clan cited rolling 6 deep
So
in
you're
an
saying
MPV.
you need to get Tyler Creator
Yes.
a Mazda 5?
Tyler the Creator apparently buys all his cars from BAT.
Yes, but I'm
I
saying
learned
he
that.
needs a Mazda 5.
Yeah, I think he does. I think Tyler the Creator needs an MPV.
With a Manuel.
Yeah, Manuel.
Manuel transmission.
Rear-wheel drive MPV.
I followed
manual.
an MPV up the hill.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're very cool.
It was
They're
not
good
rusty.
vehicles.
I could tell it was not from Minnesota. I'm like, wow.
I want an I actually quite badly want an MPV. Oh, my friend TJ he has a Astro that blew up with a little crappy V6.
See the one that put the 350 in it?
Yes. He has to replace the spider injector because it's just dumping gas through the exhaust. Huh. I know. Not surprising.
On the audio version, I did gently put my hand against my chest
But
before
anyway,
I said, huh.
he's like, it goes. It's quick. It's like he made a perfect van.
Other than the 4L60, which is going to blow up at some point. But luckily, they're $1,000.
But the thing is, it all bolted up, and that whole vehicle cost him it was a few $100 for that engine.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it
Oh,
was,
my God, yeah.
Some sweaty guy in his mom's basement in Missouri reprogrammed the engine computer, and
Do you even have to flash those, or is it just more wires?
you just reflash them real quick.
Okay.
Because what you do is just turn off settings. So
Okay.
you turn off the immobilizer, you turn off the key.
Those had immobilizers?
So that's what you had to do.
Man, I mean, we had a 91 Astro growing up, and I don't know.
TJ's is like a 94 or something.
Okay, that might have been a little later then.
Anyway, tell me about Pikes Peak.
Cool. Pikes Peak was good. All right, so Pikes Peak International
How
Hill
many
Climb.
credit cards did you have to use to fill up?
That was only an issue in one station coming back in Iowa,
Oh.
where it was a $75 limit, which is not enough. Every other station, no problem.
$75 could maybe fill my van at this point.
If it's not completely empty, it might.
It's always completely empty.
It was. I was going to. I think that I put another $35 in it on my credit card after that 75. But anyway, driving down there, pretty okay. I mean, we took the Phantom again in Iowa on 35 South just before Des Moines. Traffic came to an abrupt halt in the rain. We couldn't really figure out why. Turns out there was a semi-tractor with the two short trailers, like a lot of freight ones are, and not underneath, I guess, just in front of the rear axle of the front trailer, there was a 2010 Ford Focus sideways under the trailer, just in front of the tires.
That's a problem.
Corey said he saw movement in the car, and the traffic gantries only said 142 traffic deaths the whole weekend, so I don't think the guy died.
Good.
But that was the first interesting part of the trip.
Yeah.
It would have been weird going to Pikes Peak and not seeing a fatality, because usually we see somebody kill themselves in Nebraska. But got all the way through Nebraska, Colorado, got into town. The hotel we stay at is like a really crunchy co-op. It's strange, but we really like it, even though it's next to a trailer park. We went to Fan Fest in town for the first time. This was essentially... like Monterey does this, the Hawk. You get the racers in town for a little bit, and you can kind of shoot the shit with them. Unfortunate part of that was it was very much sponsor driven, so there were some race cars there, but the actual drivers weren't really available around, and just too many people in general. So just kind of hit the favorite dinner spots in Colorado Springs. Beautiful little downtown, but there's definitely pockets of not nice in that city. Race day took 3 hours to get up the mountain. Corey woke up in time, but he vomited on the way up, so he went back to the hotel and slept it off. Brandon and Bethany did not wake up in time. So it was just Mark, Scott, and I in the Phantom. Got up there. Weather was really cold for the first half of the day, and then it was sunny and beautiful for the second half. But unfortunately, the weather at the top of the mountain was very wintry, and a lot of the runs were slowed down just because of visibility issues. So they ran the full course this year. They didn't have to cut it short like last year. But the visibility kind of kept the times above the 10-minute mark. So still worth doing, but I have to caution anyone that's going to do it, just be prepared for 6 hours in the car on race day, because there's no way around it. There's a single road.
Up a mountain.
And it was a sold-out event, too, because it's the 100th running. So we went to the 100th annual 6 years ago, but they obviously took time off for World War I and World War II. And, we just felt that we had to, even though we went last year. So if you haven't done it, the scenery is beautiful. It's still one of those old school vibe racing events where you can get close to everyone. I mean, you drive through the pits twice on race day to get in and out of the course, but I highly recommend it. If you have to use the facilities on the mountain, make sure you do it in the morning, because at the end of the day they get a little bit ripe. And
that would be sweaty and bad.
It was not good. They had half the amount of porta potties this year as they did last year, and it was a sellout crowd. So it was good though. It's good. I highly recommend Pikes Peak. We'll probably go again in like 3-4 years, but the drive, it's just about exactly 1,000 miles from the Twin Cities to the hotel, and eastern Colorado is worse to drive through than Nebraska. I mean, I shit you not, there is a 150-mile stretch where there's not a single business, not a single gas station, no people. And it's just desert. It's just mind-numbing.
Where is this place?
Eastern Colorado. I mean, there's like a diagonal road that goes between Denver and kind of the corner of Nebraska in the southwest. Not bueno. So
my sister lives in Boulder, so I'm familiar. I've never had to make the drive. I've never been to Colorado, but heard a lot about it.
70 isn't as terrible looking, but it's a longer drive. We took 80 out, and it is what it is. But
there's too many mountain lions out there for me.
We didn't stop, but yeah, if you were out of gas, we did have to put 87 octane in the Rolls Royce once, because that was the best fuel they had. How did that happen? Nebraska.
No, how did it work though?
It was definitely down on power, but other than that, it didn't seem to carry. It was non-oxy. But
so you're telling me I should just take a train to Omaha and then drive from Omaha?
The drive to Omaha is not terrible, but if you could avoid pretty much everything west of Lincoln until you get to Colorado, like a populated area in Colorado, I would suggest it. Yeah. But no, it was a cool event. I missed a Cars and Caves, as it turns out, which was kind of a bummer. But I think we have Cars and Crafts tonight.
Yes, you do.
The Intermark Cars and Coffee. I don't know if you guys are going to that, but that's Sunday morning. That's tomorrow morning.
Rare Sunday I don't work, so.
Nice. I'm trying to decide what car to bring from here home tonight to bring to that tomorrow morning. Because I took the LSB last time, so I'll probably take the 850. Oh.
I was telling someone that you have a lot of red BMWs, and it's all like letters and numbers, so my dyslexic brain has no clue what you own. And so
your description was still pretty good.
They each have correlated events, and the 850 is fish and chips.
Yes, that is
so
that's the anchor car.
I'm like, that's the anchor car, and people are like, it's an 850, you should know. And I'm like, I'm forced to know because that many people have been like, you should know what car this is.
850 in the gray Fiat 500e.
Yeah.
It's like those both have.
Yeah.
Like,
so
wow, the back
I gotta
seats
come
are
up with
small.
like nicknames for all your cars to confuse others.
That's
and
fine.
Then they'll try to mansplain cars to me, and I'll be like, I do not care.
Then you can
Sorry, they're red BMWs.
For the most part, that is true. But anyway, yeah, no, Pikes Peak, great event. I'm looking forward to some local shows too, and I think we'll talk about a little bit more of that
Yes,
show
we
schedule
will.
next episode. But
We will be doing that momentarily here.
cool. Well, thanks for joining us, guys, as always, and we will see you next week.